everybody. I'm doing a repair job on this beautiful carved frame that got damaged. I wanted to show a few techniques how I repair the carving. I have some tricks that I've learned and developed over the years, and uh, if you watch very carefully, you'll learn some really good ideas and of how to do a repair like this in case you ever have to do it. I love body putty. I know it sounds crazy, but body putty is a wonderful tool for repairing things in wood, and you can do it quickly and economically. You can get different types of body putty. I use the regular fiberglass uh, body putty you buy at Home Depot. This particular body putty that I'm using here is a white body putty that I purchased somewhere else. It's the hardener is white, not red, like the one that you get at Home Depot. But it doesn't matter because you can use any color. The technique I use is to mix the body putty up so it dries like not too fast. You can control that by how much hardener you use with your body putty. Once it starts to harden up, I carve it with a razor knife, or razor or carving tools, or with a file. You want to do most of the cutting before it gets real hard. Once it's really hard, it's easy to file with a small file or sandpaper. And once that technique is done, I coat it with white pigmented shellac as a sealer over it to blend it in, and then I'll touch it up with colors that I mix with lacquer sealer and powder colors. You can also use other types of solvents with the powder colors, whatever you have on hand. You can even use a water-based polyurethane mixed with the powder colors to get the desired color. I get all my powder colors from Mohawk products, which is very good. A small little 2-ounce container will last you for a very long time. So, and you don't need that many colors. You can get away with about 10 or 12 colors, and you can make any color you want from those colors. And at any rate, this is what I've done. And please, if you like me and you like these videos, watch the rest of my videos. I've got about 250, I've actually lost count, but at least 250 videos of furniture repair and tips. I've got some wood turning tips videos, and I've also got furniture building videos. So please like and subscribe. Check out my other stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Once it gets nice and hard, not too hard, but hard enough that you can take some of the tape off and it won't move, you can use the razor knife, trim up the edges, which I'm going to do here. Got a nice little, I actually made this knife. It's an X-Acto blade that's been super glued into the end of a dowel. And it makes a really handy little knife to use for trimming and such. As you can see here, I'm just trimming the outside edge, get all that excess off. Now you got to do this, you can't wait around, you got to do this right away. Once it gets soft like this, that you can cut it without taking, you can cut it safely. Because another 5 minutes from this particular time I'm doing this, it will be too hard to cut with a knife like I'm doing there. At any rate, you'll learn this. If you start working with body putty, you will know what I'm talking about after you do a couple jobs. You'll get it down. You'll know exactly. One other step I didn't mention is sometimes if you're trying to fill a void with body putty, one of my techniques, I don't know if I have it here on this video, but I will actually fill the void with body putty, and then I'll put a piece of wax paper over the body putty, and I'll pack it down with my finger. But you can do this and you don't get any body putty on your finger, but you can pack the body putty in there nice and tight. And then once the body putty is dried, you can just peel that wax paper right off and go with then you can work it down with your carving tools or whatever you have to use. At any rate, this is this, and if you look there very carefully, by the way, I have a file, small little file that's got a little curve on it, which is nice. It's a handy little knife. It's very handy for them, those kind of work, because you can get in some tight spots with it. All right, I'll see you next time. Okay, as you can see, here's another little spot on the frame, and you'll see I'm going to go ahead and get the masking tape out and get it nice and stable and in the right position. But before I do that, I'm going to use a little bit of epoxy here to stabilize this piece from behind. I get a little epoxy on it, especially because it's the top piece like that. It was very loose. So I've got a little 5-minute epoxy, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on where it meets the wire in the back. There's a little crack there. And then I'm going to get some masking tape, and I'm going to tape this in the correct position so that as that epoxy dries, that's going to be very firm up there at the top and very strong. And I'm using 5-minute epoxy. They make a 15-minute epoxy too. That's very good if you need a little bit more time. And I always wear gloves with plastic gloves when I'm mixing that putty, epoxy putty, because I don't think it's toxic, but it can get on your hands. It's just a pain in the butt to get it off. So here I've got it stabilized. Now that it's stabilized, I'm going to go ahead and next step is let that set up a little bit. And once that epoxy's set up, I'm going to go ahead and fill that void with some body putty. So we'll do that next. Okay, here we are. We're going to add some body putty to the stabilized area. and mixing it up real good. Always mix your body putty with the hardener. Give it a good mix. Make sure it's good and mixed. Then you want to go ahead and tap it in there. Fill it in. Just take your time and get it in there real nice. And don't be afraid to put a little extra on there. You want to get a lot on there because you can always cut it off. It cuts off really easy. Once it starts to harden up, you can take a razor blade or an X-Acto knife. They work great for trimming it up. And then take a nice curved file or some sandpaper to blend it in. Okay, here's where I'm going to seal up the repairs with some white pigmented shellac. Now you can use really anything to do this with. You could actually use a coat of latex paint, and in this situation you could use a coat of latex paint as a primer over the repair. But I like to use shellac in this case because sometimes I mix my touch-up colors with lacquer to do the touch-up. And if I'm doing that, white pigmented shellac is a good sealer because you can put lacquer over white pigmented shellac. You can also put latex, or you can put anything, any kind of finish over white pigmented shellac. But if you're going to go ahead and just use some latex colors, water-based colors, to touch up the frame, you can go ahead and use that as a primer too. So that's where we're at. Okay, in this situation, I'm putting a little bit of body putty on an area that's missing some detail. And this is a little trick of mine I do sometimes when people don't have a lot of money to spend, but they want the picture frame put in a condition where at least it looks good and some damage doesn't detract from it. What I'm doing is I'm spreading body putty around this area and just sort of swirling it a little bit. And after that's done, when it dries, I won't do anything else to it except prime it and paint it. As you can see here, it's just a little scribble. But once you paint it and match it up with the color of the frame, sort of blends in and people don't notice it. But that's another little trick you can do when you're trying to save the customer some money and you don't want to spend hours and hours and hours on some small details. It actually will surprise you how it works out.